What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we just gonna talk about class war because that's kind of my jam. I went to go get my wife's car an oil change today, and as I'm sitting in the waiting area, I overhear a gentleman talking with the cashier and remarking about how he used to work at that place 20 years ago, and he just can't believe how expensive things have gotten. And then he was like, I guess inflation, whatever. And he sat down, and it got me thinking. My brain started turning, and he's looking at his phone, and I kind of look over and I said, I just overheard you talking about inflation. There's another word for that. It's called greedflation. And he was like, greedflation? What's that? Greedflation? I was like, yeah, it's the idea that these big businesses are just greedy for profits, and so they artificially jack the prices up because they know that people ain't got much of a choice. They're going to pay the price. And he was like, oh. And then we started talking about just life in general, and how the business class is really exploiting working folks, and there's no relief in sight. We talked about how prices have gone up consistently over the last decades, and yet wages have not kept up. And I started putting them on to some historical information. I was like, there was this guy named Big Bill Haywood, and he said that the only thing the working class has to do to bring the ruling class to its knees is put their hands in their pockets. Because once you stop the work, all those profits go away, and the charade is over, and they realize how little value CEOs bring to the table. Because let's not make any mistakes, CEOs bring nothing of value to the table. They exploit and steal value off of the table and leave everyone sitting around the table with an empty plate while they stuff their pockets. And that's the truth of the system that we live in. Now, we like to sit here and play and polish up the turd that is the American economic system and make it sound like it's such a beautiful thing, and it's like, oh man, all you got to do is work hard to get ahead. Well, that's a lie. You got to do far more than just work hard to get ahead. Working hard doesn't get you ahead. Working hard just gets you by. You got to be extremely lucky, and you got to be cold-blooded and be willing to take advantage of everyone around you in order to get ahead like that. It's not this wholesome system. And so we were talking, and he was like, man, you're right. You think about it. And I didn't realize this. I said, why do you think, that dude, Luigi Mangione, why do you think he capped that CEO? And he was like, oh yeah, that did happen. Yeah, that dude, I don't even think that dude should be in jail. I was like, well, it happened because you got a medical system that is turning people away left and right and causing people suffrage, and then somebody gets fed up because they went through that same suffrage and they do something about it. I said, you know what the remarkable thing is about that situation though? After that CEO was capped, United Healthcare started approving medical procedures and healthcare claims. Something like 30% more claims got approved after the assassination. And he was like, oh wow. And I said, you know what's something else that's even funnier about it? I said, think about this. That person died going on the way to a meeting. He was killed sometime around 6:45 in the morning, going into the hotel where the meeting was to be held at 8 o'clock. That meeting still took place, and the stock of that company went up 2% after the news of the assassination came out. And he was like, just floored. And so, I kind of just was remarking that, it's gonna, if we ever want to find relief, it's gonna have to come from the proletariat. It's gonna have to come from the people, because the ruling elite, they don't care about us. It's like Pac said, man, they don't give a dick about us. They don't. Michael sang it too. They don't really care about us. They don't. We are but gears in a machine. But what's the sad thing, and the sad reality and the truth of it all is that we do have people that care about us. They're in our lives. Our families care about us. Our neighbors care about us, and we care about them. But when you sit there and you put your loyalty to the company, you're doing it wrong. The loyalty never goes to the company, because the company will replace you at the drop of a hat. The loyalty goes to your brothers and sisters that you work with, the brothers and sisters in your community. That's where the loyalty goes. So we are in the throes of a class war. We have been in the throes of a class war. We just don't talk about it. But we have been in the throes of a class war. And right now, the ruling class is dominating the game. They just took over the entire government. They're dominating the game. And let me back up a second, because I shouldn't say that the ruling class just took over the government. The ruling class have been in control of the government for 50 years. And it's been a long time coming that unions strike back, because unions are the soldiers for the working class. Unions are the defenders of the working class. And there's too many union leaders in this world, in this country, at all different types of unions. There's too many union leaders that think they can cozy up to the business class, the ruling class. They think they can cozy up to them and have a partnership and a friendly relationship that's going to be beneficial to the working people. That's not how it works. We have opposing desires. Working people want to be able to live in dignity, afford a nice place to live, be able to have food for their kids and education and health care. That's what working people want. The ruling class wants all of the profits, all of the money for themselves. And the more they can take away from the working people, the better for them and the better off they are. So they're happy to placate a few working folks at the top in order for those few working folk at the top to be a barrier between the actual proletariat working class and the ruling class. And our leaders have to wake up. Our labor leaders have got to wake the F up. This is not a friendly game. We are not partners. We are diametrically opposed. We have a symbiotic relationship, true, but only when it's beneficial to both parties and not when we're being exploited. So get your heads out of your tails and let's work together to get this country and its economy on track, because it hasn't been on track since the 40s, and we have got to get it back. We are far past time. So that's my message for you today. Remember, your loyalty belongs to your co-workers, not to your bosses, always. And remember to be a part of your community. Your community needs you, and you need your community. Salvation will not come from a rich person. It never has, it never will. They will always be the enemy. My name is Eric. You're watching Union Minded. Remember that the fight's not left and right. It's up and down. It's going to take solidarity to win always. Each one teach one. Get out there and reach one. And remember, there could be no union without you and I. Front and center. So let's go.